This is another one that's kind of interesting. CBS Sports, 12 deals that make sense. They have the Browns acquiring defensive end Frank Clark, Cleveland native from Glenville High School. Went to Michigan, for a 2023 fifth-round pick. Would love it if he was a defensive tackle, but defensive end Frank Clark, fifth-round pick. If you truly believe you can get this thing righted and rolling, that might be an interesting piece to add to this defensive line. I might be willing to do that for a fifth-round pick.
Certainly would add some depth to the defensive line, considering, Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney have both dealt with injuries throughout the season. And even looking at Frank Clark's contract, he's got one more year after the season, a cap hit of about $20+ million. So actually a cap hit, of $30 million according to Spotrac.com. So that would be a pretty hefty price to pay. But I guess also, you would keep him as your number 2 defensive end opposite Myles Garrett. Production hasn't been great, but I'd be fascinated to see what he can do as a number 2 defensive end opposite Myles Garrett. I mean, this is a guy who's a 3-time Pro Bowler, put up solid seasons, particularly in his first couple of years with the Seahawks. He's an interesting piece, and you can never have enough pass rushers. If you have him as a number 2 or 3 defensive end, I know he's not. That's way too much money for a number 2, number 3 defensive end, but that wouldn't be a bad idea, especially if the price is kind of low and you can get him to restructure his contract for 2023 when you're going to have a bunch of large cap hits on the bill of the Cleveland Browns. So a bunch of guys are going to need to get a restructure to kind of keep everybody together. So if that's possible, then sure, that seems worth a decent flyer to me.